Aaron, you opted to go to Rosario instead of McMahon tonight to start things off. Just for a guy who doesn't get a lot of consistent playing time, how difficult is it to have a big night like he had tonight?
It's one of the things that struck me about him last year was just how good he was at staying ready and prepared and just at the role. I remember if he went on the IL for like a quick 10 days when he got here. He kind of run into the fence in right field, and he came back. He didn't really need any rehab. It was like, no, I'm ready, and he sure is. He's really good at doing what he needs to be ready every single day, and liked him against Savali today, and then obviously not only hits one there, but then a no-doubter to pull the victory out. Just a big night for him.
Is it validating for you when you push the right button like that and it pays off in that big of a way?
I just like seeing our guys have success. It's about this. It's about the Yankees, and but you're invested in these guys, and you always get excited when they do well personally too. And we brought Rosie back because not only is he a really good player, but he's a tremendous teammate and sets an amazing example for everyone. So just happy for him to get it done.
What did you think of the at-bats in that inning in general of kind of passing the baton along in that one?
Yeah, I mean, Belly gets it started, smokes the ball up the middle to kind of get us going, and then Benny gets enough of one to dump one in, and then G hit a weird G ball, I don't know what that was. It was the feels like 24-degree ball, somehow landed out there. And then obviously Rosie, put a no-doubter on there. So great job of battling. They grinded all night, not the easiest night to play, and they just kept at it. And the relievers came in and were able to hold it down and hold the line there to give us a chance, and they took advantage.
Gary and Eric.
You mentioned Rosario being such a tremendous teammate. I know he's a guy that likes to get very hyped for the other guys on the dugout. What was it like seeing them get so hyped for him on the dugout?
Yeah. I mean, he's become beloved in that room in short order, and I think they all get thrilled by his successes too. And obviously we're waiting on him. He's the last one out on the field doing interviews and things like that. So when he came in, guys were pretty fired up.
Eric,
what did you think of Cam tonight?
I thought Cam was good. Not quite as dominant as his first two, obviously. Not quite as sharp command-wise. He's still no walks, 6 punches. You kind of think he's just going to roll out there for 7 innings and 75 pitches and strike everyone out. And he realized it's not that easy. So I thought, he had some longer at bats tonight where he just wasn't quite as sharp with his command. They put an inning together against him where they had the swinging bunt, and then McNeil stings one off him. Kurtz had a really good at bat where he puts the ball in the gap, and then Soderstrom's able to, hits one well down the line off him. So they put together a really good inning, and I think a lot of it had to do with just they put some quality at bats together against them. But at the end of the day, he goes 5 strong, limits the damage, and gives us a chance to win.
Randy.
You had some veteran hitters that had good at bats and put hits on a former teammate. Can that work to a guy's advantage, you think, when you know a guy he's in a lot of games here last few years later?
I mean, maybe a little bit. Yeah. I mean, a little familiar with, but it still comes down to on the mound and at the plate, like, execution and so who's not to say that, Mark didn't have the advantage in some situations. It's just, it still comes down to pitcher versus hitter and who executes.
Susan.
What was Savali able to do that they couldn't have much success off him?
He just does a good job of playing he features the cutter, and then will slow you down with the breaking ball, but he does it on both sides of the plate, and then he'll go cutter and then back it up with a sinker going the other way. So it's hard to kind of get a beat on him when he's commanding the ball well. And, I thought he obviously pitched well against us tonight. And, we were able to at least, drive the pitch count up and get him out of there, after 5. So they had to cover, a fair amount of innings down there. And we were able to eventually break through. But he does a good job of just the sinker and the cutter game, where it's, which way's the ball going on you, and you got to be disciplined to it. And he does it on both sides of the plate.
Bob, all right.
Aaron, is it likely we'll be seeing more of Rosario against right-handed pitching?
No, I mean, not necessarily. There's certain matchups that, I like it in. We got a number of lefties coming up. So, competition's always a good thing.
Yeah, I think overall it was pretty good, but just one mistake there in the third, and cost me 3 runs.
You mentioned that third inning at bat with Kurtz there. Were you trying to elevate that fastball a little bit more?
Yeah, it would have been nice to get it up and in. Obviously left over the plate. Probably had 2 better options there. So again, just one mistake leads to a couple runs.
Conditions affect you at all today?
It was cold. I think I handled it pretty well. Definitely better than last week. Probably getting a little bit more stretching in there. Between the third and the fourth, the velo dips a little bit, but able to get it back a little bit in the fifth.
What did you think about Rosario there in the first and the eighth?
Yeah, he was great. It was clutch. So again, he came in there, did his job, and we won the game.
Seems like he's pretty beloved in this clubhouse. Just what kind of makes him such a good teammate?
Yeah, he's great. High energy guy. He's funny. So again, goes out there to something like that tonight. Again, we don't win that game without him.
You keep it close. Do you have a feeling that this offense is at some point in time going to find a way to break through?
For sure. I was pretty confident we were come back and win that game. So, and got great hitters in the lineup. So again, not too worried about the early results, but again, I think we look great, and hopefully things keep rolling after this today.
What impressed you most about Rosario's night?
It's great. He's so excited. He's the energy on the dugout, so we are excited for him to come through in those big moments.
Cam just mentioned that he's such a high energy guy that it's everyone sees it. Just how does that affect you guys as teammates when you have a guy like that brings that type of energy?
It's great. It's great to have him on the team. It's great to have someone like him on the team. He never had like a bad day. He always with high energy. So it's great. It's good for the club. It's good for him and good for everyone.
Just his third start of this season, hasn't been getting consistent at bats. How difficult is that to step in, especially on a night like tonight, and have those types of contribution?
It's pretty impressive because how the weather is, not getting the reps, the everyday reps, and in pitching is hard. So it's pretty impressive for him to come through like he did tonight and perform like he did today.